Everyone left standing was turned to mist, and SHTF the cat took off around the back. I heard some heavier rounds go through the truck's windshield and slam onto something above me. And then I heard boots on gravel, a few more loud cracks, and then more boots hitting the ground and gravel. Finally, there were a few more loud cracks with some clears being announced. One guy said something to the effect of, "Well, I guess I'll start digging." Another, a girl, pulls something out of the truck above me, which hits the gravel with a whoomp. Then gets in the truck talking about how she can drive anything, and drove the truck off me. That is all I remember before I passed out. Chapter 29, Meet the Team. I regained consciousness somewhat in the lobby after a few hours, and I remember them saying to each other that I wasn't one of their coworkers. Another question that I was wearing one of their jackets, which really confused them. That's partially why they couldn't decide exactly what to do with me. But I was with the cat, and the cat was there trying to wake me up, which confused them also. My sidearms and blades were out of reach, not that I could move very fast anyway after taking that huge hit from the truck. It looked like my sidearm had been cleared with my mags out anyway, which was fine. I remembered that my first mag had run dry anyway. "Guys," I said much less confidently to the crew of guys, a guy in a Santa hat and a gal, and much more groggily than I wanted. With that, I swear I had like 8 ARs and an AK pointed at me, and who must have been their leader said to put them down as if this was a common thing. This made the cat very happy that I was awake, and it jumped on me then laid down as if it claimed me. I told them the story. They said I could keep the coat and gloves. They told me they got my message and that they weren't a militia, and that I needed to learn how to use a ham radio properly. I told them I would definitely learn. They got me up to speed that cell service was indeed down, landlines were up, so everything portable was going to be radios. So yeah. Also, they thanked me for saving their workplace and their cat, and that it was important because Command deemed this facility mission critical. They didn't elaborate on who Command was or why this place was mission critical. I assumed it's because the place could somehow generate power. I saw on the table that they had their keys back. Then I asked if I could get up and go home. They said they would drive me home, and I responded that the gesture would be much appreciated. A hand popped out, and they slowly helped me up. A medic asked me some concussion-related questions, and I confirmed I had indeed suffered a mild concussion. He gave me some acetaminophen and said I needed to sleep more. I took the meds and with a water bottle they handed me and agreed to the medic's order. My head hurt really bad, worse than usual. They asked to make sure I had some spare food at home, and I did. I'd been unemployed several times, and keeping an overabundance of spare food on hand had become the norm. It started about 4 years ago when I had ridden through this economic dump before last, in which I had actually been able to start a decent stock. On the way to their trucks, I noticed the attempted raiders' truck was nowhere to be found, with no trail as to where it could have gone. There was also no blood readily apparent, with a scent of bleach in the air. There also appeared to be some newer gravel in some spots. One of them smirked at me and reminded me I would also want to throw my clothes in the laundry. I simply responded with a "thanks, will do." I didn't look down, but I imagined I was covered in a biohazard situation. The medic had cleaned up my cuts and scrapes, though I realized I felt burning in several places where he had disinfected my wounds. Thankfully, the cuts and scrapes happened when I went down and was rolling in the gravel. The likelihood of cross-contamination would be very low. Chapter 30. Finally going home. The team drove me home after I told them where to go. That left several people to guard the facility, and on the way to my subdivision there was several homes on fire already. I guess I don't know what to think besides these people are crazy. Did people really keep lists of who they wanted to hit specifically during such events? I'd always heard they did, and well, I guess it was true. When we got close to my subdivision, they got on a radio in the truck and gave someone some call signs and codes. In a few moments, they got some codes back. I guess that meant that we were safe to keep going forward. My subdivision had already been blocked off by cars. I know I had talked to my neighborhood about that, but nobody seemed to want to help with me because nothing like that would ever happen, duh. It seemed like someone took over and made it happen pretty much instantaneously. All of the houses were fine, I was happy to declare. I thanked them. They said it was okay to walk from here. They told me who to talk to get the right radio. Then they told me that he could get it programmed and then I could start helping. They said I was part of the team if I wanted to be, just give them my name and their name, and I said thanks and will do. I hopped out of the truck and headed home. As I parted the truck, I heard them say some call signs that there was one coming to the gate. The gate responded, and to my home I went. I fed my kitty and checked her water. It was dirty as always, so I rinsed it out, refilled it, and went to bed. I remember getting sniffed many times. My cat was downloading the other cat's information for their cat database. I patted my cat on the head a few times and passed out from my cat's kneading. Epilogue, home, subdivision, day after collapse. I had slept for a few hours or so before my cat started opening the cabinet door about an inch, and then letting it bounce shut. Opening the cabinet door about an inch, and then letting it bounce shut, just to hear it bonk rapidly on the rubber nubs it had. That was the end of book 1 of PWN Affliction. This is an excerpt from book number 2 of PWN Affliction called The Barless Prison. Chapter 1, Wake Up. Almost 2 years after the collapse, in the autumn. I had slept for a few hours or so before my cat started opening the cabinet door about an inch and then letting it bounce shut. Then she would open the cabinet door about an inch and then let it bounce shut, simply to hear it bonk rapidly on the rubber nubs it had. I had opened my eyes a bit, closed them again, and opened them again, and I realized, and then I remembered I wasn't in my room at all. Well, not in my room in my house anyway. It'd been 2 years since the collapse. I was in that damn prison now. There was no cat bonking on the cabinet door. It was someone bordering on lunacy with nothing else to do. That was Double XL bonking on the cabinet. I had no clue if he was acting crazy intentionally or not, or if there was a difference. I decided to leave him alone for now. Double XL noticed I had finally stirred, though, nodded, and quietly whispered, "Hey, XDS," so nobody would hear. We all had code names, and nobody knew each other's real name. We shed them all when we got caught and locked up here by the other side. I could hear tormented screams coming down the hall as usual, with never a clue as to why. The rumors being, of course, test subjects for who knows what. People returned to their cells more scared and fearful than before. Well, I call them cells, but they're more like cubbies, I guess, or nooks. I don't know. Basically, the rooms don't have doors. Technically, we're free to leave whenever we want, but nobody ever can or does. At that moment, sounds of stark raving terror attached to a person run down the hallway. After him, 3 people in nearly all black, nearly light absorbent clothing move in pursuit, pick up the person who crawled into a ball, and carry him back down the hall from the direction he came. Whatever that guy saw in his mind, it must have been horrible. And that was an excerpt of book number 2. You can find these on Amazon, Kindle. Just look for PWN Affliction. And they're all very affordable. And thanks for hanging out and listening. And if you could share this with a friend, that would be awesome. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell your friends and all that. Thank you. Goodbye.